Hello, welcome to another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. 2025 marks the 30th anniversary of the Jazz Gallery, and earlier this month here at the Jazz Gallery, Imani Records kicked off a very special music showcase, showcasing a lot of their artists on their record label. Now, as you might know, Don and Orrin Evans are the blueprint as well as the architects of Imani Records. And what they've decided to do is allow musicians who did not have a voice an opportunity to record their projects, as well as learn the business side, as well as being groomed and mentored by both Don and Orrin. Tonight here on the Pace Report, you're going to see highlights of Jonathan Michel, a dynamic bassist who's been on the jazz scene for well over a decade. And this gentleman has played with the likes of Orrin Evans to the great Melanie Charles, just to name the many endless few. He's celebrating the 6th anniversary of his debut record, MDR. And at this performance tonight on the Pace Report at the Jazz Gallery, you're going to see the legendary Joe Locke, as well as Mark Whitfield II and Orrin Evans. I had a chance to sit down briefly with Jonathan to reflect on the anniversary of MDR, his debut record, sit down and reflect on his presence as a bassist and his music moving forward, and also we'll reflect on the mentorship between him and Orrin, as how he's learned the business side of this industry, as well as the publishing, as well as the recording side through Imani Records. So sit back, relax, and enjoy highlights of Mr. Jonathan Michel performing at the Imani Records Showcase at the Jazz Gallery here on the Pace Report here in New York City. is the 6th anniversary of your debut record.
Yes, sir.
How do you feel about the music now that it's, we say, aired out, or that it's passed?
Yeah.
Are there some ideas that you were cringing on when you hear the record now, or are there some things that you just like, I'm glad I did it this way?
Man, I love the record, which is, you know, there are some things that I was unsure about when we were putting the record out that I'm more sure about now. And then there's some changes that I thought needed to be made that, you know, I'm grateful that there was a producer on the record and we didn't make those changes, and I'm glad even more so that we didn't make those changes. So, no, man, listening back to it, everything is dope, you know.
You know, one of the things that I have noticed over the last decade of people who you've played with, being a part of a group and an ensemble, you have to bring something very unique to an artist. What is it that you're doing now as a soloist in your own band moving forward with this?
Man, you know, it's interesting you say that, because one of the things that made me hesitate when Orrin wanted to make this record, that made me hesitate, I was really moving away from, or moving towards bass, the ensemble instrument. Jonathan the bassist, Jonathan the ensemble member, you know what I'm saying? And a lot of bass-led records are bass up front, you know? And so, but I really, to me, you know, the record is called MDR, Music and Dance Revisited. And today I was like, you know what, it's actually probably melody and dance revisited. And I love melody so much, you know? So it was all about, I was putting that record out, and even so, the record is definitely this is something that I'm very proud of, especially 6 years later. It's like, it's a reflection of my sort of artist statement that I live today, even though then I wasn't necessarily able to put into words what that was. Now I can put it into words for a grant or whatever I need to do, but like, you could just listen to my record and you could get that, you know? So that, I was able to make that happen while still paying homage and giving respect to the bassist leader mantra, because there's a thing there, and I wanted to make sure that, like, when you listen to my record, you know it's a bass player's record, bass player's jazz record, but I also wanted you to hear it and be like, you know. So both of those things are achieved, and that's the way it goes on, you know. Even now, the groups that I'm a part of, you know, bass is a part of their identity, you know, and my playing the bass in those groups is also part of the group's identity, you know, when we're playing. But then it doesn't serve anything greater than that, you know. In serving that, it's actually being very great. I don't really need to be like bass out front. So even when you see me on the bandstand with my band, unless I'm doing something crazy, I'm not really out front. I'm like in the bass corner, you know what I mean, doing the thing.
Jonathan, how tall are you?
6'5".
7'8" with the afro.
Right.
Jonathan, I have to ask you, with your size and the power, some of the most prolific bassists have been taller than 6 feet, and the hands are very much the embodiment of how you articulate your ideas and how you play melodies.
Sure.
What do you think about when you are playing the bass?
You know, I'm thinking about, like Maestro Carter says, you know, finding the right notes, and I'm thinking about, you know, being in the moment. Really, that's the beauty of pursuing this calling, is that I'm not really thinking about E flat, D flat. I mean, I guess in a way, I'm thinking about, oh, maybe I could play it here and play it there. But really, it's about, you know, what's happening right now and how can I communicate, and how do I put myself in the best position to do that physically, you know what I mean, using these muscles and this muscle and putting it all together. So what I'm thinking about is, you know, finding the right note, finding the, you know, being in the syncopation of the moment, being in the language of the moment, yeah.
Ron Carter, when we talk about Ron Carter, we think about somebody, and even your contemporaries, guys like Lucas Curtis. I think of the bassist as the person, you're the glue of the band. The drummers rhythm getting down.
Sure.
Pianist, Orrin, he's in his world, but you're the person that literally is the anchor of the group. How do you feel about that assessment?
Man, I'll take that because it's very much it's very much part of the instrument's job, But I think that really kind of like everybody is responsible for the time in the band, everybody's responsible for the bass in the band in a way too, because my bass isn't effective if this person's not playing the thing. The decision that I make to do this thing is not effective if the drummer doesn't go along with it. So there is a sort of hold it down, but some of the hold it down is like I'm trying to think about how we can say this, like we're moving. It's not really holding it down. It's just that okay, we've decided that we're moving, so we're moving together, and so now this center is over here, and let's get resettled, and we're all good. Or they swing that way. I'm like, so it's holding it down, but to me, in the ways that the masters have done it, I mean, Mr. Hurst is over there in the next room showing us how it gets done. It's hold it down, but down is relative.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's really, again, that's why it's choosing the right note, choosing the right, understanding the moment to be like, oh yeah, boom. Or it's, the same thing, as they say sometimes.
Jonathan, what were some of your bass moments? I guess, who are some of the musicians that you saw live that kind of opened up Pandora's box on how you wanted to play this music?
Oh, sure. I would say John Benitez was one of the first ones, because that was the first time I really I saw Caribbean music being played on the upright bass. You know, other bass moments are, you know, James Jamerson on Motown Records. Even though that's a bass moment, I was like, oh, that's how you put bass on things. You know?
He left an imprint with those Funk Brothers.
Yeah, he really did. And you know, Jaco Pastorius, that was a moment because it was like, oh, that's like a voice on the bass. You know, the first time I put, you know, I'll never forget, I was driving and I put his CD in the car, and you know, the debut one, the first track is Donna Lee, and it's like, you know, he goes into it, and with Don Elias, I believe, and I had the thing way up, and I was like, oh, okay, all right, you know, because at some point, you know, when you're a young musician, becoming a strong musician, and also becoming a better bass player, playing fast notes starts to be a thing. I'm like, oh yeah, I can play fast notes. I heard Jaco just in time to be like, oh, okay, there's more to it than fast, you know? Because there's like, you know, people, I love, more than Jaco's soloing, I love his groove. This is straight up just
he was really a funk R&B dude anyway.
Yeah, sure.
He was really coming from
that, absolutely, you know. So, any other moments, you know, hearing Christian McBride early on playing with Dinah Krall, like in a duo setting, I was like, oh, like you know, hearing the, you know, Ray Brown with Oscar Peterson Trio, who's deep into that. You know, Paul Chambers with Rick Garland and with Miles Davis, you know, just like list goes on. But I'm trying to think about some current moments, man. You know, I love bass. I moved to New York really so that I could be around the best bass players. You know, I go to hang. You know, I'm fans of my friends. You know, my contemporaries. You know, I still get tongue-tied around Peter Washington. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like it's like that. I really love the instrument and love the job that it has. And, you know, New York for a very long time, and I still do believe is a great place to you know, be excellent and find excellence in that chair.
You come from Connecticut.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother and father from Haiti.
Yep.
So the Caribbean, African diaspora is all you know.
Sure, yeah.
And the project that I was really proud of that you did was the Overture.
Mm-hmm.
And what you did was, and I think it's very important that any musician, whether they're Russian, whether they're Croatian, whether any ethnicity, bring the music of your ethnicity, your background,
sure,
and flip it.
Sure.
And that's what you did with this album.
Sure. Yeah.
Why did you decide to do that? That's a heavy project.
Well, man, you know, I think it's not that heavy because it's in me. You know, I think for many artists, you know, going back again. I put that in quotation, it's always with you, right? But going back to the thing that sort of like got you going is always a fun thing to do, and also great exploration to make. And really, that project is about, you know, again, I'm about the ensemble, so it's about like getting together with these friends and getting together with these folks who have the same background with me, and we could play these songs. And not only do we have the same sort of cultural background, we also have this training and this other cultural background here, being, you know, here in the States, and we can go all over the place. You know, the Caribbean connection to me is vital to, you know, what we call the jazz sound, you know, the world music sound. You know, no matter what happens, it connects to the Caribbean. You know, we've got our African sounds, we've got our US sounds, and we've got our South American sounds. And, you know, the Caribbean connection is kind of where all that goes down. And it's been really cool, again, like putting you know, putting Ball on the record, you know, opening the record with that, and you know, with that really opened field freedom sound of Haiti, along with, you know, being able to present from time to time in New York City and around real experiences, artistic experience of my culture is really something that I didn't really have to plan to do, because it's just in me. You know, it's like, oh, I got this opportunity, I guess I'm going to scream about Haiti now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Oh, I'm making a record. Well, if there's not a song in Creole, then like, what are we doing? You know what I'm saying? And of course, shout out to Orrin Evans for being, you know, for obviously there was no, you know, he didn't question anything about that, and just giving me the freedom to find how I was going to put that sound on the record while it's still being, you know, part of the jazz canon, as you know, as is sort of seen and accepted on the scene. You know what I'm saying? So I was able to, you know, a lot of times you get put into these places once you start to put foreign languages on things and you start to talk about culture. It's like, well, this. It's like, no, this is a jazz record.
It is a jazz record.
You know what I mean? So like,
right.
Yeah, check it out, and you know, you'll see. So it was cool to be able to do those two things. And even I thought to open the record with something else, and he was like, no, this is it. It's either this or this, and I think it should be this. And I was like, cool, great.
direction of Imani Records, where it's going, where it's very important to give artists the opportunity to present their voice, but it's also more important to give you your voice as far as your residuals,
Sure,
the masters,
sure.
How has Orrin been able to mentor you and groom you?
Man, I can't. We don't have enough time. From the very beginning in Philadelphia, when I was trying to just get better, and he provided honestly, a safe space. And a lot of people provide a safe space that's like this, but it was like, this is safe. That's what Orrin, it was like, this is safe. Come on over here, And even, to the record. I didn't know I was getting ready to put out a record. I figured I was going to put out a record at some point. He was like, oh no, we're Imani's about to roll in. You're the first one coming out. I was like, okay. And even then, I didn't understand what it means to be a recording artist. You put a record out, all of a sudden there's a clock that starts. Your career has truly begun in many ways. It's like, oh. I was like, yeah, sure, boom, boom, boom. We had, figuring out shows, figuring out, tours and musicians and what's next and showcases and all that stuff, and just finding, the mentorship has exceeded that word for sure. Yeah.
Jonathan Michel, what does jazz music mean to you?
Oh man, jazz music means to me culture. It means to me black people. It means to me ancestry. It means to me dance. It means to me melody and rhythm and syncopation. It means togetherness and unity. That's what jazz means to me.
That'll do it again for another edition of the Pace Report. I'm Brian Pace. I'd like to personally thank the incomparable Jonathan Michel for his time. Make sure you support MDR and his other projects on Imani Records. Also, I'd like to personally thank the staff and management at the Jazz Gallery for their warm hospitality. Also, Don and Orrin Evans and Imani Records for putting on a fantastic showcase at the Jazz Gallery. As always, people, I can't stress this more than enough. Please like, share, and subscribe to my videos here on YouTube and Vimeo, and leave comments, as well as follow me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Until next time, remember, if it's in the groove, it'll make you move. Until next time, peace.